Excellence demands caring. We've talked about customers, creating customers by caring. I think that was in Karen Henley's class. We also saw creating customers by servicing customers. Customers set new standards for us every day. Who can tell me what a dashboard is?
In front of a car.
It's something that you look at every day on the
Dashboard is not in a car. Dashboard is a computer that tells you what you're doing.
I learned that from my mother today.
That's good. Okay, well, you need to show some attention, pay attention. Taking care of customers is very important to us. I want to talk about something else. Old ways to keep customers. Excellence demands changing. Wonderful picture there. Let me tell you a little bit about that. One of the constant things in life is you are going to change. Every day brings a new opportunity if you look at it correctly. Our daily routine, our daily tasks, what we do, this day and time demands that we do more, really with less. It's hard to admit in school and at home, we were told if you do this, if you come to school on time and pass your grades and do all this set of standards, you didn't have to do anything different. That was the standard, and we all kind of get where we like to operate at kind of the standard bar, where the bar is. Our customer is raising the bar every day on us. What we did for them last month is not good enough next month. We had two of our biggest customers come down last month and say, we're changing again, we're raising the bar. And we're going to start charging branches more money who don't meet these standards, and those who meet the standards will pay them more money. We are going to change. But change is not always bad. I can vouch for that. Sometimes change is for the better. Let me tell you something that I most recently went through a change in my life. That's those three little kids right there. My three granddaughters. Two granddaughters, one grandson. That's my two oldest. That's Maggie Jane and Annie Michelle. That's a big change to me, having to put up with grandkids. And, you know, they demand just you. They don't demand toys, they don't demand other stuff. They just want you and your time to go sit down with them. Caring about a baby duck. At a very early age, people have it instilled in their heart, soul, and mind to care about stuff. Some of you can't see it. She's holding a baby duck in her hand. She's also a little sassy. I want to tell you a story about her. My daughter-in-law is named Carrie. Carrie has three kids. They're all under 3 years old, so she hardly has anything to do. And you ladies probably appreciate that. Maggie Jane there, she loves to read books. When I go over there, I have to read her 4 or 5 books before she goes to bed at nighttime. She loves to read. She loves puzzles, putting stuff together. One day she was bugging her mother, said, "Mother, I want you to read me a book. Read me a book, read me a book." And Carrie said, "You know, I'm really tired, Maggie. Let me sit here and just rest a few minutes." And so Maggie said, "No, you know how kids are, 3 years old. They just start crying and whining, and you figure, okay." So Carrie said, "I'll tell you what I'll do, Maggie. If you will take," she tore the back cover off of a magazine she was reading. It had this picture on it. She said, "Maggie, I'm going to take this picture and I'm going to tear it up. And if you will put it back together, Mommy will read you a book." I've already told you that my granddaughter, of course she's kin to me, she's pretty smart, but she, you know, took the challenge because she likes to put together puzzles. Now, I know y'all think I'm going to put this all back together with you. Some real trick. I'm not a magician. So she said, okay, Maggie Jane, put that puzzle together, put that picture of the world together. I'll read you a book. So Maggie went over there and sat down. A few minutes later, Maggie said, okay, I put it together. Carrie said, what do you mean? She said, well, Mama, when you put the little girl together, the whole world comes together. So on one side of that map was a picture of a little girl. Maggie turned it all over, put the little girl together, and said, Mommy, when you put the little girl together, the world comes together. That's the way it is a lot of times with us, is that sometimes we look at problems one way and we need to look at them in another way. When you put yourself together in certain aspects, if I can say that, the whole world comes together. When you take better care of your customers, when you work harder, when you work smarter, it's easier. I'm sorry, I'm supposed to show you all that. See, but the first step in anything you're going to do is really making a decision you want to do it. I'm not a big fan of AA, but I do like their first step. First step, you got to recognize that you're an alcoholic. To say, I want to do something about it. I want to tell you one of my favorite stories. The story is written in the book of John, the 5th chapter. It's about a man who had been laying by a well or a pond there for 38 years. And Christ asked him if he wanted to be healed. He said, I can't. I can't. Nobody will help me. Today, we have seen about 40 people in this room who never said, I can't. I can't. When somebody asked them to take on a specific task, make home direct from being 45th to being 2nd, or to work with Lockheed Martin, you know, people said, I can do it. They stepped up, and they did it. I can't never was part of their vocabulary. I think that you can find in your ability that you can do a little bit more every day. You know, the truth is, you don't have to do 100% more, or 1,000% more, or 20% more. It's mostly just saying, tomorrow, I'm going to do a little bit more than I did yesterday. Or take one more challenge and do one more thing more. You have to ask yourself, is there anything I can improve in? Can I improve? Can I do a little bit better? Can I make one more delivery? Can I make one more customer happy? You know, I know in the early meeting this morning in the drivers, one of the things I think they said, that's what they told me they were going to tell you is that when you go up to the house to make a delivery or an office customer, first thing you do as a driver, you go up and introduce yourself. And you say, my name is George Gilbert, and I am here to make you a delivery. Well, where's it going to go? And let me talk to you that process. You know, when you get through, the last thing you should ask the customer, did everything go all right? Did we meet your expectations? If a customer calls you and says, was there anything wrong? Is there any reason why you should give me a bad ranking, a bad rating? Because every one of our customers call our customers we deliver to, and they ask them those questions. So we as professional drivers and helpers and people like that, as a driver maker, Pedro, it's more important that we make sure that all of our drivers, all of our helpers know what our customers' demands are, and we can meet those. How many of you made a New Year's resolution? Raise your hand. That's pathetic. Some of you are not very proud of it, are you? Now let's do it again. How many of you have kept your New Year's resolutions? Raise your hand. Well, about half of you, yeah. See, that's the way it is a lot of times. We say, I'm going to change, I'm going to do better, I can do better, I'm going to make more money, I'm going to improve myself, I'm going to find out what my boss's expectations are, and I'm going to change to make those happen. Gary Henley said this, and I want to quote, it is easy to make excuses why we don't keep our New Year's resolutions or our goal that we set for ourselves. Most of the time, we don't tell anyone, therefore no one is holding us accountable if we make our goals or not. One of the things at AA you have to do is stand up, say, I'm an alcoholic in front of everybody. You have to admit it. Oftentimes we make excuses and we just say, that's the way it is. You know, we don't want to go farther. In my biblical story about the man at the pool, he said, I can't get up, no one will help me. And our job, most of the time, is not somebody to help you. It's your own personal decision that you want to read a book, you want to take a course. You want to make sure the customer is happy. It's not so much that somebody else, now those of you guys who are fortunate on the truck that has an outstanding person with you on the truck, they can help you really be professional. Let me tell you another story that's one of my favorite. I love this book. I've read it many, many times. In fact, I brought a couple to give to you before I get this. It's a book called Who Moved My Cheese? But you know, I've been talking to y'all about changing. Changes happens all the time, whether we like it or not. Now, when we're looking at books, we no longer go to an old book and read it. We just go to an iPad. We see what we want to. And the book here tells us what we want to read. I want to read you a couple excerpts out of this book. I don't know how many of you are familiar with this book. It's a book about a story about two little rats, Sniffy and Stuffy. Sniffy because he sniffed cheese really well, and Stuffy because he likes to run throughout the deal. And two little people called Him and Hall. And Him and Hall are miniature people, and it kind of represents your daily life of what you do. And when you go around and do it, they are all in this, what they call Section C, where all the cheese is. And what happens is that the cheese plays out. And they have a hard time surviving. And Sniffy runs around sniffing cheese. And some of them says some different things. Really good book. And I'll give those away, but I want to read you some of the stuff, just some excerpts out of all this. It says, little people continued to do what they had done before. This is talking about Him and Hall. They went to the cheese station to see and found no cheese and returned home, carrying their worries and their frustration with them. They tried to deny what was happening, but found it harder to get sleep, less energy the next day, and they were becoming more irritable with Sniffy and Scuffy. Finally, one day,